Hi guys. You see this pacifier on the screen right now? This has everything to do with whether or not you ever realistically will ever lose weight. I'm going to get to that in a second. If you believe that there's any kind of herb, any kind of supplement, a celebrity diet or exercise plan, or any kind of magic food to eat, or tricks that melt away the fat, then unfortunately here's what I'm going to have to ask you to do right now. Please leave. No, seriously, because all of that kind of stuff cost me years of my life. If you expect that to work for you, God bless you. Be on your way. My own experience was 20 years of chasing after all of the latest craze and the diet and the exercise and this, that, and the other, and all it did was add 70 pounds to me, okay? So I don't believe in that stuff. I found out since then why it's so consistently doesn't work. I know the answer now, folks, and that's what I'm here to share with you, is the answer to why that just those kind of approaches just don't work. Have you ever wondered that? How many times have we tried diets and exercise plans, and no matter what you tell me, they're really all the same exact thing with different names. They're just repackages of eat less, exercise more. So they don't work, folks. And if they do work for you, then you're probably not listening to this. If you're listening to this, they haven't worked for you. If you're like me, you're probably pretty frustrated with just failure after failure of your weight wellness plan. So moving on here, I want to introduce myself in case we haven't met. My name's Gregory Palumbo, and I'm mostly known as a pianist, a composer, a Christian music artist. So weight loss is not my business. That's just not my thing. However, it is something that affected me, and that's why I'm here with you today, is to share with you what I discovered so that maybe it'll work for you. You know, maybe not. I don't know you personally. I don't know how you live your life. The things that I'm going to tell you about are things that anyone, the busiest people on the planet, can implement into their lives. So, but I don't know. I can never guarantee. But if you're someone that's been frustrated by continual attempts to lose weight and never having that come to fruition, then maybe this is something that's going to work for you. I just never managed in my life to maintain any sort of consistency with an exercise program, and I'm pretty darn sure that that's kind of the root of everything, that I was just never active. You know, I'm a guy that's always behind a desk or a piano, and when I say on average 12 hours a day, I'm sure it's probably a little more than that. I have small kids too, so I'm not going to then, you know, go to the gym, and I have a wife. I'm not going to take extra time. I just can't, I personally can't set aside that time or won't. So that was something, this exercise, because I always conceived of, oh, it's got to be an hour a day, and I've got to, you know, get prepared and shower after, and it's just a lot. So that was, I believe, my root and my overeating. But definitely they ran neck and neck for first. Like I said, I can never consistently take 30 minutes or an hour or hour and a half, depending on which expert, right? They all tell you something different these days, too. So let's just keep that in mind, that there's no consistency in that message, and there's a really good reason why. And, good slide here, it's not about the time spent exercising. That wasn't it. You know, that was bad enough, but it was the before and after, the travel to the gym. You know, there was just no way that that worked out for me. And that's, like I said, a big reason why I packed on 70 pounds. And from what I've already told you, you get the point. I'm not an active guy. I never was. I probably never will be, not in terms of, you know, a guy that's always outdoors. I'm always behind a desk and a piano. It's where I prefer to be. So, oh, this is a good point. So that's the kind of person I am, behind a desk, behind a piano. And that's where I make my living, where I find my enjoyment. And yet, I'm trimmer, more fit, and look more like an athlete than any of my friends who spend hours in the gym. Think about that for a second. It's kind of a slap in the face to my dear friends, and I really apologize. Hopefully they'll never hear this or see this. But seriously, that is something that you have to consider. And again, I'm not spending the time in the gym. I will get to that in a little bit. How is it possible, you're probably thinking? And oh, I do get this all the time, folks. People always are telling me, well, you obviously spend time in the gym, and it cracks me up when I hear this. And I also hear, you know, occasionally I hear from men and women that, oh, you work out and this, that, and yeah. You know, it may look like that, and it certainly feels great to get the compliment. Let me tell you, especially without putting in the time. That's the one that really gives me a giggle every time, is because I sit there. I was once in conversation with a friend, and she looks at my biceps and makes that, we're talking about fitness in general. She goes, well, you work out, and she looks at my bicep, right? Now, I haven't acclimated yet, okay? I just have not. I still see myself the way I was for so many years, the vast majority of my life, as plump, and you know, I fancied myself as having some sort of strength, but it's certainly, the muscles were all buried beneath very great deals of protective layers of fat. So you never saw any definition of muscle, although I did swear there was some in there. And yet, you know, and that was kind of a moment, one of the first moments that I really realized this, because again, I kind of still see myself as plump, chubby, and all that. But when I looked, kind of followed her gaze to my bicep, I saw, you know, definition, and it kind of looks good. I thought to myself, wow, I do look like I work out. So that's my point here, is that people do say those kinds of things to me all the time, and you're probably getting a hint that I'm not in the gym. Oh, and this is a classic. Whenever I do tell them what I actually do, it's immediate to me. I see this thing. When you tell somebody, and I'm in the practice of not lying. That's just not my thing. I don't believe in it, because in the past, when that has been something that I've dabbled in, it always came back and absolutely ruined me. So I refuse to live my life that way. I literally, if I have to, I won't say anything at all. If I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I have to make a you know, I won't. But I just won't lie. And so you see it in people's eyes where they don't believe you at all. I mean, it's clear, because what I say to them just is not anything that anyone's ever heard of before. So what is this secret that's so hard to believe? Well, it was actually a real honest-to-God secret at one time. That's actually the kind of interesting part, and I always kind of got to remind myself about that, because now I'm blasting it from the rooftops. It was a secret that a celebrity fitness trainer in Hollywood was sharing only with his elite Hollywood celebrity clientele, and he had very, very wealthy clients. And when I say very wealthy clients, extremely, the billionaire kind of clients. Okay, so this was something he was sharing only with these few folks. So it was, and I like the slide here, because it was extremely good fortune. I had actually known this gentleman back in my college days. We had crossed paths in the fraternity that I was a member of. So he was, at that time, just this nice guy in great shape. The best shape I'd ever been in my life, by the way, was we got to be a little chummy over a summer, and I'd ride a bike, broken down old bike, down to, I was at UCLA at the time, I'd ride to the beach, and we'd ride down to Redondo and back, you know, and at first I was, again, plump and out of shape, but after a few months of that, I was in pretty good shape, never in the kind of shape that I am now, because now there's consistency and regularity, but so that was the closest I'd ever gotten to it. So I knew of him as being an athletic guy, and sure enough, he went on to be this major celebrity fitness trainer. So I remember how this went down literally like yesterday, and it's a long story. Hopefully this slideshow doesn't go into all the details. I had just started to listen to these Think and Grow Thin audio programs that you may or may not know about. They've been under a couple of different, well, one other label. They're also under kind of Mind Body Series label, but it's the same program essentially, where they are programs that literally train your brain to have new behavior patterns. So It's extraordinary. It's called brain entrainment, psychoneuroplasticity is the technical term, and so I was listening to these programs, and I knew I had to actually have a diet and exercise component to my whole let's lose some weight here. I knew that I couldn't just listen to audio programs and the weight magically fall off. So I um, I'm actually thinking back to that moment, and I'm reading this slideshow here. This is a presentation I give on occasion. Haven't given it in a while. And Dr. Lawless, I haven't introduced him yet. Dr. Lawless is who I work with. This whole experience of figuring out this new way of losing weight came from me composing the soundtracks to Dr. Lawless's programs, and that put me in touch with Dr. Phil and the people that were approaching him and Dr. Lawless, and so I got so many weight loss programs and ideas and concepts came through my desk that it was just it was easy to go through all of this and say, okay, this looks like it might work, this might not. So this is how this all started. And Dr. Lawless, I remember him specifically saying, you can't sit on a couch, eat bonbons, listen to an audio program, and expect to lose weight. You can expect it to create a desire to do something different. That's for sure. But you got to then do the something different. Like I told you, I tried absolutely everything there was to try to lose weight. I'd start the programs, last a day or two, then be back to my old habits. That's why those audio programs, Think and Grow Thin, are so great. And it's no wonder how Dr. Lawless explains that making big changes in diet and exercise makes the body's autonomic system believe that there's a famine going on. Or the exercise makes your body believe you're being chased by a predator. You get that? I kind of said that in a bulky, awkward way reading this slide, forgive me. But when you cut back on your calories, your body doesn't know you're trying to do something good. It's assuming there's a famine. Going back to earlier days, by the way, the days of having food in our arm's length at our constant whim and will are very new to us. Most of human history has been, unfortunately, plagued by periods of famine where we couldn't get food. The periods of our lives where it would happen repeatedly where it would be hard to get food in pre-industrialized civilization. So our body's still back in those days. And so when you're cutting back on calories, it thinks there's a famine. When you're starting to exercise, you're running, your body just thinks, oh, running from a predator. By the way, both of those states, not good states to actually lose weight. Your body actually wants to keep weight on. It wants to protect itself when it's under threat. So anyhow, it's no wonder I could never stick with anything out there. All these programs were about changing how much you eat and what you eat, how much you move, everything all at once. You go from no movement at all. Like for me, it was I'd walk to the bathroom, to the kitchen, the bedroom. That was it for me. You go from that to massive amounts of exercise. What happened to me every time I try that? Every time I'd either injure myself and have to stop, or I'd get sick, and then by the time I was well again, I was already out of the mood. So yes, even just 30 minutes is nearly infinitely more than what we usually are doing in our normal life before we start these exercise programs. But I am a regular guy. I did have a great list of contacts. It's not a long list, but a pretty good list of a few people that have great knowledge. And I'm a guy with little knowledge, but it's great to go and know that and go out and find people that know knowledge. I mean, I know my music and some other very specialized things, but health, fitness, I'm going to go ask the experts. And that was my real strength here, folks, is I went out and I asked some really bright people, some really specific questions that for some reason no one had been out there asking, or at least no one had been asking and then making any kind of products or announcements about it. So first thing I did was I called celebrity fitness trainer Michael Carson. I was just talking to you about him. This is my buddy from college. You remember him from Paul Abdul's workouts, Carmen Electra, Body by Jake. The list just goes on forever. I threw a couple on this thing. This isn't anywhere good indication of what he's done, because he's the mind and many times the body behind so many of the biggest products that are out in the market, as this next slide says. So yeah, he's been behind pretty much, not everything, but a lot of things that you and I have heard of. I started, so this, I pick up the phone to him, and I was blunt with him. I've known this guy for years. You know, I hadn't talked to him in a mess of years, but I had gone to college with him. So I literally said to him, listen, Mike, I'm not going to be doing any exercise. You know, just if you're going to tell me to exercise, if you're going to, you know, go to the gym, I'm never going to be able to squeeze that into my schedule. And by the way, folks, at that time I was extremely pressed for time. So, and I said to him, listen, I believe I'm going to die if I do not lose weight. I was having some pretty serious health issues, folks. Things that were really scaring me. I wasn't even sharing with my wife. I figured, well, she'll get me into the doctor. Doctor's going to lay me up. I don't have time for that. I got to keep working. So that was my deal. That was the merry-go-round I was on, and here I was feeling like I could die any moment, that going to sleep at night was a scary proposition. I have a new baby laying next to my wife. I'm imagining this nightmare scenario of her waking up and me not breathing. You guys get where I'm going here. So I told him I can never take an hour and a half out of my schedule every day. There's just no possible way. You can't get me to do all the prep and all the gym. So anyhow, I'm not sure why this slide says how coincidental life can be, but you guys know life is very coincidental. Oh, well, because, you know, Dr. Lawless actually was telling me you got to make tiny adjustments. I kind of didn't say that explicitly a few slides back, but yeah, he was basically saying all these big changes not going to work. You got to make tiny adjustments. So, and that is, like I mentioned earlier, to sneak past our natural human defenses to diet and exercise. Those are things that the body doesn't really like too much based on our history. So what does Michael tell me? Okay, so Lawless just told me you got to make tiny changes. By the way, folks, I never forget this word for word. I go, Frank, I thought you and I were friends. You're telling me tiny changes. I got to make a tremendous change here. What are you doing to me? I mean, you know, he chuckled. He said, well, if you could figure this out, you got something there, Greg. Well, okay, on the tail of that, what does Michael tell me? Well, he says, most people are recommending these long workouts because it gives them an opportunity to sell weight loss programs, sell gym memberships, sell fitness training. It's just the way life works, he says. It's just the way business works. He says, you know, for the people that have time and they're naturally athletic, it's good for them. It's not bad for them. However, he says to me, I have a few very, very busy clients. And, you know, sometimes it's celebrities on locations, you know, far away, long hours, or business moguls. These guys who are very rich apparently aren't just sitting on their tuchus not doing anything, like I imagined, sitting on a beach. They are working around the clock. And when they're working, they're also extremely focused. And there's just no time for the gym for both of these kinds of people that he was seeing, okay? So Mike tells me I teach them this trick, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, you know, we've all heard the word trick so many times, and it just rhymes with sick because it makes me sick. So you know, but it's Michael telling me this, so I'm like going, no, this guy would never send me on a wrong direction. I have too much history with him. Just to let you know that, folks. So this guy I knew, even though he was just about like saying this word that like set my whole stomach into a queasy. Is that a word? Queasy. Got a queasy. I realized Michael wasn't gonna lead me astray. And then he told me, he says, this is simple science, actually. It's just something that isn't well known, but it's all out there already. So what he does is he tells me about this technique that he discovered over the course of time. He researched a lot. He had studied. He was a kinesiology major. So, and he spent 2 decades developing top weight loss products and programs. So all through this time, he's like, really plugged in to what works on a physical level, experimenting. I mean, this guy is amazing, folks. He came up with this because the guy is experimenting with how little. Now, here's a guy who is in the kind of athletic condition where he's entering these, those, I don't know all the names. You folks probably know it. I never watch TV. It's the race across the desert and the Sahara and, these survival shows. He's been on these things. So, he's in amazing shape, right? So at one period of his life, what he's thinking is, how little do I need to do to stay in this amazing shape? And that's how kind of this all came to be, right? And like I mentioned, this is the technique that he's teaching the elite people that he's working with. Oh, this was interesting to me, guys. So he says to me, have you ever noticed these celebrities that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s that look 20 years younger than their real age? And he says that to me, and I'm immediately kind of have a list in my mind, and then he goes, but not the ones that look like, for sure, oh, they've had plastic surgery. He says ones that you're like, wow, they just look like they're still 25, 35, in that range. There's a bunch of them out there, guys. I'm not going to name any names whatsoever. You can go and look online and see a bunch. I just saw this article today. I'm going to stay as general as I can. They were talking about celebrities that looked very young for their age. And they had just, picture after picture of, I don't know, it was maybe a dozen. It's on one of the news sites. And I'm looking through this list, and I'm like, Michaels. Not Michaels, but I know that's that guy's friend, so probably learned it from that guy, right? So anyhow, so he says to me, it's, I knew where he was going with this, and you probably do too. They're doing the technique that he showed them, and that's the thing he was saying is it's not going to just help you lose weight and get fit, And at that point, by the way, I just didn't want to die, right? So I'm like, get fit. I don't know if that's ever going to happen for me, but as long as something stops me from dying with a young baby in a crib, I'm going to be really, really happy. But he says to me, it really keeps you young, keeps you looking young, and it gives you back the energy from your youth, right? He tells me this, right? And now I'm like, I'm like salivating. Really, I really am, because at this point in my life, folks, I am such a wreck that getting up my stairs to my bedroom, I'm out of breath. I'm stopping to hold the railing, okay? I'm like the commercial where they're selling the elevator that bolts along the side of your stair, the chairlift thing. You know that? With they're God bless older folks like in their 90s. They can't make it up. They're holding the railing 2 steps. This is me, not 2 steps up, but halfway up, I stopped for a breath. But I'd gotten used to it, so I kind of thought it was no. It's not normal. It's not normal at all. So when he says energy of youth, I'm like, wow, now that's something I could really, really use, along with not dying. Like I said, now I'm salivating for this secret weight loss technique of the stars. It's like now it's in big lights in my brain. I'll never forget them. Like there's lights, there's a band, there's Michael, and he's on all his shows, parading by, and he's coming. Seriously, and that it actually led to where I am today. It was. It was a premonition I had. It really was. And now that I think about it, it was like this premonition. So, the whole thing about no big time commitment was the big crucial thing, because even though I knew I might die, the prospect of not working was just absolutely not an option. And so, what do you do? Folks, on God's honored everything, one of my friends died this exact way after I started on my healthy path. One of the most wonderful men I have ever met in my life. A little bit of an older father we met through our kids. We both had, at that time, 4-year-olds. Leaves a 4-year-old on Father's Day, he dies. And, a little older, wasn't 60 yet. But he was telling people what I was thinking. But he was telling people was, I'm not going to make it to my 60th. Okay, this was like 8 months before. And I'm thinking, I feel like I'm going to die. This poor man died. Unfortunately, he saw me start to make the transition. I remember even showing me a picture online. He goes, Greg, have you seen this? Wow, what a wonderful guy. I mean, tragedy upon tragedy, just this loss of this man. Anyhow, and so, unfortunately, and I didn't like to push, but what am I going to do? You got to start doing this. I should have. I just now I tell people, you got to just start doing this. There's no shame in it, okay? So, I know this slide says I was actually skeptical. Yeah, I think I was actually skeptical. I was. Not, I trusted Michael, but I was actually skeptical that anything could ever work for me. I started to believe the old, you're over 40 and that's just what happens. It's the way your body gets. You just start to look like a pear. Well, no, that's actually not true. So this is why I'm skeptical here, is because I'm like, well, it's Michael telling. It's like I was stuck in an infinite loop like this. It's not quite the right word, but I was just clicking back and forth and like, how could this be true? I've literally got so little time for the rest of this presentation, so I'm gonna have to speed along here. But mind you, I was skeptical not because of the source, but just because I thought nothing could possibly work for me anymore. So he tells me what the secret is, and I'm reading my slide right now so I can paraphrase it for you. He's used it with the stars. Who cares, right? Does it work for you, right? Who cares if it works for the stars? They got nothing but time on their hands. I'm sorry. That just was so rude. But it's their job. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It was completely rude and completely wrong. It's their job to look that good. It's part of their job requirement to be in that so, yeah, of course they can do it. So, again, okay, what he told me sounded outlandish. Yes, it did. But he also explained to me the natural human mechanism that makes this work. And once you know that there is a natural machine inside of your body that makes this technique of his work, then it just all makes sense. Yeah, it's true. I always get stuck between the science and my emotion, right? I need science. I need to know there's science behind this. But then, I go with my gut. I've always been a go with my gut kind of guy. And emotionally, I just knew. Like I said to you, there was like big bands playing in the background of my mind. I had a full theme song going on there. Da, 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 we're on our way to weight wellness. I was just really, really, really excited. And what he said to me just made, oh my God, so much sense, folks, because in business, momentum. He says the key to being fit is momentum. And I had learned, whether you love him, hate him, or indifferent, from Donald Trump, momentum was always the key. And that lesson he learned and imparted was basically because of his stint in the 90s when he had made a bunch of money and decided to gallivant around the world chasing models, his words, not mine, and he lost focus on his business. He ended up being in debt for billions of dollars. So he cited momentum being the principle, that guiding principle to why you can succeed in business. And as an entrepreneur, once I learned that, I'm like, okay, I got to keep the momentum. Again, that's no time for the gym. So he's telling me the key to fitness is momentum, and I get that. It's a principle that everybody is familiar with. And when he told me this, I was like, say what? He's like, it's like Chinese water torture for exercise. And I'm like, what? Right? I don't even know if that's politically correct to say anymore. And I did. I remember, like, what is he going to tell me to do, right? And is it even okay to say that? But he tells me, look, it's reality, folks. Let's not get all bent out of shape. I'll make a bunch of I'm Italian. We'll make a bunch of Italian jokes if anybody Chinese is offended by the Chinese water torture. I think it's kind of cool that anything gets named after us. But whatever. Again, no offense meant whatsoever. But his point is very well taken. He says, one drop of water dripped onto your head cannot kill you. You barely feel it at all. But if you drip that one drop consistently on the one spot, it will literally drill a hole in rock over time. Let's use rock. I like that better. Who wants to hurt people? So, right, I've seen the holes in rocks. You ever seen that? My daughter's just found this beautiful stone that had a hole all the way through it, naturally occurring. Must have been a drip for how many thousands of years does it take that to happen? Incredible. Found it in the ocean. So this principle is the exact same thing he was telling me for exercise. He says a tiny bit done consistently will literally carve out your body. And now, now he was good with drawing the metaphors for me, because I could see water carving out, a passage through stone. I mean, look at the Grand Canyon. I mean, obviously, a little bit of water over time can make a big. So he's telling me a little bit of exercise done consistently will carve your body. I'm thinking, wow, that makes sense. But yeah, he's telling me it does it better than going to the gym. And now I understand why. At the time, I was like, huh? Oh, but his point was you got to do it the way I show you. And you can't just do this, right? I've seen people do that. I look at them like sideways. I'm like, really? I just showed you that, and you're doing what? I'm like, look, if you want to take what I show you and then go make up something completely different, by all means, go do that. But don't expect anything like the results, because you really should do it the right way, right? There's probably some variations, but why mess with it? Mike's like an ultra expert. So I'm going to tell you exactly what he told me free of charge. Wow, I made this this presentation a while back. I guess we're giving it to you free of charge, folks, which makes me happy, because it's a great technique. It should be shared by everybody to everyone. And I'm sure somewhere in this presentation I'll have an opportunity to point you to an actual product that will give you directions. But let's give it to you. Let's give it to you exactly what to do, so you can go out and guess it if you want. You won't have to guess much, though, because I'm sure if I wrote this, I probably gave you some pretty good directions. So yeah, that slide was saying I want to shout it from the rooftops and let everybody know it's true. I do. I want everyone to know this. The only thing is about free is that I'm wary now about it, because originally I'm like, do it free. It's not my business anyhow. Let's just give it free to everybody. It's the internet. It doesn't cost anything to give it free. Well, it actually does, turns out. That hurt. And on top of that, people don't value free, which is weird. And then I realized, oh, I don't value free either. So it's not a comment about anybody. It's kind of common about everybody, right? If we get something free, it sits in our, like I have some great free stuff that sits in my drawers or on the bookshelf or in my computer, never used, right? But things that I pay for, I make sure I use them. So I learned that from a mentor and from experience. So so that's how that works. I do believe it's completely worth your investment to purchase his program. I mean, yeah, he goes through it every step by step, but what I want to say there is that, the amount of money that I spent chasing a result that never happened in weight loss, the amount of money I lost from just not being in the right condition in life, just as bright as I could be, as quick as I could be, with the energy that I could have, what that cost me. Of course, if you can actually lose weight and get in shape, it's going to be worth whatever the price is, right? I mean, if you were guaranteed, you'd say, yeah, here's a check for as much as I can write right now. I mean, this is every dime in my bank account. I'll figure it out tomorrow. If you guarantee that I will be in shape, take it all. I mean, you know that, right? It's just that there's never a guarantee. Even for this may not work for you. I don't know that it works for everybody. I don't know why it doesn't work for some people. I know that there are some people that it doesn't work for. They let me know. And I help them through. I don't hear back from them. Sometimes I do, and it starts to work, but sometimes I guess it just never works. I don't know. But, look, it's worth trying. I hear back from many, many more people who go, wow, I can't believe this is working for me. Not only does he walk you through the process, he provides you with expert guidance that you need to guarantee your success, as much as you can guarantee any success in this. You understand what I mean here? What you're going to get if you go that route, and I don't know where this presentation is going and what product exactly it's pointing to. In fact, I know what to point you to. I'm going to do something different, because it's going to send you to something to spend a bunch of money. When we get there, I'm going to send you to something that's going to cost you very little, okay? We're going to give you the entire thing that he does for you. You're going to pay a little just so that I don't have to come out of pocket because I have to pay some licensing fees, and I've got to pay the bandwidth. So we're just going to make it really, really tight for me, get the message out there. Yeah, so, you know, I'm not guaranteeing your success. I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to help you as much as I possibly can, because if everyone can get this result, I'm so thrilled for them, right? I know how this impacts your life and your family's lives and everybody around you. I also, by the way, I didn't leave it up to chance. I'm not an expert, really. You know, I've gone through it, so I do have some way of helping people and a really good way of doing that as well. But I've assembled a great team of people, literally some all-star people, health and wellness coaches, weight loss coaches, motivational coaches. They virtually coach you online, okay? They provide you support, guidance, information, and that caring touch. And I say that with, God, that's the most important thing possible, folks. It's that caring touch, I think. I'm not thinking about weight loss in particular, just in everything. I think that's what sets us aside too. You'll know we really care. This isn't about just making a dollar. I have to make a dollar, folks, so please buy something. I gotta feed my family and pay my mortgage, and I do not make a fortune, so please buy something. But, however, it's not about that. You know what I mean? It's about helping people. It really, truly is. It's about, hey, I have something that did something incredible for me, and here, take it. See if it works for you, right? Because I'm just talking about more about how I give specific guidance. I have these people, these, you know, literally top people. Michael, Dr. Lawless is literally one of your coaches, right? Virtual coaches. So you've got some top-notch people that literally guide you step by step. Will give you, by the way, the system I created does give you feedback. So it's not like virtual and I'll never hear, like, I can type a question out in the thin air. And no, they actually get back to you and answer your questions. So we support you. It's a real two-way thing, but it's not live. I obviously can't tie up their time live with thousands of people, but I do have a brilliant technology system that sends them little emails with questions they have to answer, and they dictate it, and somebody translates it and types it back to you folks. So we're out to make sure you have every possibility of succeeding, every possibility, even if it means helping you find another program that'll work for you. I do that. Look, if this doesn't, let's find something that works for you. We can do that now. I have the infrastructure to be able to help people in the way they need it for this. What does this one say? Well, it's part of the previous thought. If you can use a coach, it's been proven in study after study that if you use a coach, you will keep more weight off longer than if you don't. And it's a big, big factor. You know, I have a number of little techniques that we give you along the way that they all kind of add up, you know, so it gets this cumulative effect. So moving on, I really have very little time, folks. Yeah, this technique makes it impossible to procrastinate. It's weight loss success, long-term weight wellness, finally. Reason why I'm rushing now, folks, I'm sorry, but I have to pick up my little girl in literally 15 minutes, so I have 5 minutes to wrap this up, folks. So I'll take a lot of email questions in the end. This works because if you put a tiny bit of exercise before your meal, and by tiny I mean less than 2 minutes, okay? And before you start thinking, no way, impossible, let me remind you that Michael Carson's proven that this works in the real world. I'm proof that it works. I have other people now that are proof that it works. I'm not saying it'll definitely work for you, but I'm saying this definitely works for a lot of people. And it works for people whose livelihood depends upon them looking the very best possible. That's a really good point. I forgot that was in here. But I have a feeling something's clicking in your gut here, and here's why. Exercising right before your meals boosts your body's metabolic system. I'm going to do another presentation another time about metabolism. It's not what you think, by the way. But I'm using the word boost in a positive way, okay? So it does something positive to your metabolic system. And all it takes is about 45 seconds of something rigorous to get you into that state, that anaerobic state, which basically means you're out of breath and your body has to pump more, has to beat your heart faster, pump oxygen through, you got to breathe faster, all of that. That's the state you want to get in, because that kicks all of your systems into gear. All of your systems, neurological, by the way, neurological as well. Dr. Lawless does a great presentation on the benefit this does to you in terms of intellectual capacity, your digestive system, everything, folks. I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of things, right? A lot of my illnesses, my issues that were supposed to be permanent are gone. Health issues that my doc said, oh, you live with that until we have to do an operation, or until you know. This is it. Anyhow, I'm not saying it'll definitely work for you that way, but it worked for me that way. It's worked for a lot of people that way. Being out of breath, I've covered all this, and I have to pick up my little girl. So it's 45 seconds. I do 90 seconds, folks. The effect lasts 4 to 6 hours. This is why this works, guys, and this is why this was my aha moment. I'm like, oh, I know this will work. I didn't think I'd turn into an athlete, but I knew it'd work when I heard this. The effect of any amount of exercise like that gets you out of breath and heart racing, you know, heart rate up, lasts 4 to 6 hours. So if you're doing this before every meal, what happens, folks? It's like you're exercising around the clock. That beats the pants out of waking up at 5 in the morning, being done by 6 in the morning, and spending your entire day wiped out from an hour work, and the effect is gone in 4 hours. By 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you're done anyhow. And the rest of your day you spend in a lethargic state. No wonder at 2 p.m. you start to get tired after eating. It makes complete sense. By the way, you do this, you stop getting after a while, not immediately, although some people it seems to be happening within a month. You stop getting sleepy around after lunch when you start doing this technique. I have to go get my daughter. It does not matter if you exercise 1 minute or 1 hour. The effect is the same. That was remarkable. And by the way, there's another thing that says that the effect doesn't start until you stop exercising. So if you exercised for 8 hours straight, you wouldn't get the benefit until hour 9. So might as well do 90 seconds and let the next 4 hours take care of themselves. I get passionate about this, folks, and I got to go. Your body needs to make up the difference between rigorous activity. Yeah, guys, this is all technical stuff. It works for me and other people. Maybe not you, but try it, for goodness sake. Why not? It's 90 seconds. It's the time it takes to brush your teeth, the time it takes to tie your shoelace, the time it takes to pour a glass of water. If there was a magic pill to raise the weight loss, you'd spend the 90 seconds pouring water and down in the pill. Just do this and have natural reality do it for you. Okay, so you do it, you eat, and by the way, there's another effect that happens. You just tend to eat less when you are have just exercised. So you tend to want to eat less. So it helps you just cut back on your calories. You're eventually going to have to do that too, folks. There's no out of that. You can't just eat like you're probably currently eating, like I used to eat, and do this, and you know, it's probably better. It's better than not doing it, but then you want to let it lead you to diminish your calories, okay? Because you'll want to. So let it kind of lead your hand. It's not like now where when you get on a diet you're like forced to. No, because you're doing it right before you eat, it's like, oh wow, I kind of want to eat less. Like you do want to eat less. And it's like throwing firewood on a roaring fire, and instead of dying embers, you're putting food on a roaring metabolism, a boosted metabolism, so it immediately gets parsed into nutrients, and it just gets delivered to where it needs to get in your body. You'll be sick less often for less time. You have a far less likelihood of ever catching a catastrophic illness. So all of that goes with this. I really got to get out of here. I have 1 more minute. And since you only need 90 seconds or so of exercise to get this effect, well, there's simply never an excuse. There never is an excuse. All of us have 90 seconds. Even the President of the United States, even these billionaires, even the celebrities. They're busy. I keep poking fun. I'm so sorry. I have so many celebrity friends, and they're so busy, and they're constantly sweating, and they work so hard. But what I'm saying is, it's their job to be looking good. So part of it is to get to the gym, right? But sometimes, if they're busy on a set for 14 hours, like my friend just got done doing a picture, he doesn't have time to then go to the gym or desire, and he's got a little kid. I'm skipping some things. I got to go pick up my daughter. Certain exercise. There are certain exercises that work better than others, by the way, guys. There really is. I'm not making it up to sell you anything. There just is. You know, that makes sense, right? If let me give you an example. If you just I don't know, if you just walk around your house for 90 seconds fast, no. Okay? There. Let's move on. I have to go get my daughter. You do it the right way. Let me introduce you to my Minute Success Coaching, Weight Loss, and Weight Wellness Program. That is so cheesily written. Sorry, folks. It teaches you the exact right timings, the exact right exercises. Okay. So this was where there was supposed to be a button below. I'll make sure there's a button below. But here's what I'm going to do differently, because I know what the next slide is going to go into. It's going to talk about charging you at least, this program runs now $147 at its base price. Okay, folks, the days of it going out for $39.95 are done and over with. It's $147 now, and it goes up from there because I got real live coaches that I got to pay. So what can I do that will actually work and not cripple me financially like I did in the past? I've got to do the math, folks, but the number below you right now, below this right now, that number is the exact lowest I can possibly go. I promise you that. That number will cover my costs so I don't go in a hole. I can't do that, folks. I cannot do that ever again. I cover my costs. I pay the people that I have to pay, and I pay the bandwidth. And I've got my music, so I'll make my living there. You guys just pass this along, though. If it works for you, even if it doesn't, right? If you're the guy it doesn't work for, pass it along. It'll work for someone else you pass it along to. And then you call me, text me, email me. You always can get a hold of me, and we'll work on what can work for you. There's a lot of different approaches. Guys, remember, I sat there with, oh, God, I don't even know, dozens, hundreds of ideas crossing my desk because I'm working there with Dr. Lawless and all the stuff that comes through the Dr. Phil show. You can imagine. I've seen all the techniques. I've got the stuff that works. What this thing is just a way to get that exercise component taken care of. Guys, I got to go pick up my daughter now. I'm 2 minutes late. I think I can still make it in 8 minutes. I love you guys. I want the best for you guys. I know that sounds like how could he possibly love us? But that's what my faith teaches me. Remember, I'm a Christian music artist. I love all faiths, by the way. But my faith teaches me to love all people, to even love my enemy. God loves my enemy the same as he loves me. So you get that? That's my philosophy. You folks are the furthest thing from my enemy. You are my brothers and sisters. If you're here listening still, you probably are overweight the way I was and suffering because of it. I know I suffered from it. I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way I looked in pictures, the way I must look out in public. I needed to be done with that. And I think this will work for you too. And if it doesn't, I'll help you find something that does. That's the deal, okay? Click on the button. I promise I'm going to take care of you. Oh! I'm going to make you a guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, okay, give it 60 days. It doesn't work for you, I will give you your money back, okay, whatever that is down below, and I'm still going to have to pay my people, but I will reach into my pocket and give you that back. There's only going to be a few people like that. This does work. I will definitely do that because I don't want you to pay unless it actually worked for you, okay? So that's my promise, my guarantee to you. No questions asked. Well, the only question is, here's your money back, and how can I help you? Do you think I can help you set up with another program? Not one of mine, something else. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Got it, guys? No pressure. I will give you your money back if this does not work for you. The few people that this doesn't work for, you are guaranteed. I will give you your money back, okay? Can't guarantee that you lose weight, but I can guarantee that you don't pay unless you do. All right? Fair enough. Got to go pick up my daughter. Now I only have 6 minutes. Love you guys. Bye.